Hey guys, welcome back. It's me, Gimpy, and I'm here with one you might not have heard of before. This is the Second World War, and it's by One Small Step Publishing. All right, a commenter actually messaged me and asked me to check this out, do a review, play through something on it, and I didn't have it, so I did some digging on it, did a little research about it, and found out this one and the one that's like it by the same company that covers just the European theater, and that one's called, it's written out like 2WW European Theater or something like that, but Second World War European Theater. This is similar to Unconditional Surrender in the fact that it is low counter density, easier on the rules. Someone, referenced it as like beer and pretzels, easy. The publisher saying it wasn't quite that level, but the rules are supposedly streamlined, not too long, and giving you the ability to play the entire World War II conflict over the entire world in an afternoon or a couple of sittings or something to that effect without being just bogged down and feeling drained afterwards because of all the heavy rules that come with it. So let's pop it open. Let's see what comes in it. I am going to try to get this to the table soon. It won't be very soon because I have some other things that are on the table that I need to finish up first. But I will at least get this down and give some examples of play as soon as I can, so people can see it and see what they think about it. It does have down here your complexity level and solitaire suitability. It says solitaire suitability is approaching high, and if it's anything like Unconditional Surrender, it will be. One rule book, scenarios book, 2 of the 22 by 34 maps, and then one 22 by 17 game board. They say game boards, but I'm assuming it's paper maps. 4 counter sheets, charts, tables, dice, and it's by John Douglas Powers and produced by John Compton. So let's pop this open and see what we have in the box. And now I did take the shrink off earlier, and I thumbed through the rules real quick just so I could have just a little better idea of what the game entailed before I unboxed it for you guys. Comes with 4 generic white D6, and here is our rules of play. And I gotta say, for a company that I haven't heard too much about, I do think they did good on the rule book. It feels nicely put together, it's glossy, and it's not so tight on the script that you feel like you're looking at a college textbook. It's spaced out enough that it doesn't bog you down and just make you tired to read it, and it's color, and it's got examples in it, so I like that aspect of it. They did a relatively decent job with it. I gotta say, there were a few spots that I thought things could have been in different areas in the rule book when I was glancing over it, because I would look at something and as I was reading through it, and then have to glance towards the back to kind of understand what they were talking about. I do think one other thing they do a little too much of is abbreviations. That's all the abbreviations in the game, and there's a lot of it. They probably could have typed out a little bit more. Now, to be fair, this whole part here and this little bit down here, that's abbreviations for countries. So it's just this and here that you have to worry about. But it probably would be easier. I got used to it about halfway through the rule book, and it wasn't an issue anymore. But the first part of it, I kept having to flip back and forth to figure out what they were referencing. But other than that, nicely laid out. I like how they have the examples in it, and it goes to about, where is it? Let's see, not here. Okay, it goes to about page 27, 26 here, and then the rest of this is little, I guess you would say, like minor rules that might have to do with any certain things like your Axis powers, minor countries, and some of it doesn't even say much at all about it. Like China here, China includes East China, Maoist China, Nationalist China, and then explain some of the stuff. But it kind of gives an overview. Like here you've got Gibraltar, you know, the specific rules that have to do with that. You know, France, German units. You can look up each individual country in the back of the rulebook. So the rulebook is 36 pages, but the actual rules themselves only go to about page 26. And then after that, you've got just the references to specific countries. So that's your rulebook. And here we have our scenario book, which I do like the fact that it comes out with training scenarios. The first few pages are just training scenarios to help you learn the aspect of the game, because it does have some different aspects in it, especially your C hexes, or they have what's called mega hexes. That's what these units are, or these big hex looking things are. So if a C unit is in one of those mega hexes, that's like the hex that it's in. All right, it doesn't matter what one of the actual hexes that's in there. I'll have to explain it a little better when I actually get the game to the table. And then right here it starts with the it says here, this is the big one, World War II, and then for however many people that are playing and how to divvy up the factions for whoever's playing. So yeah, pretty neat. I like that. The booklet isn't too big, but it looks like it does the similar type stuff: European theater, Pacific theater, and then different parts of those. The examples and little baggies here to put the dice in, or put the counters and stuff in. I'll probably hit these some more. So let's see what we got here. This looks like this smaller sized thing. Decent paper stock. Okay, so this is your strategic map. Units can be on this, or they can be on the other map themselves. And it says right down here is the production display, and it goes up to 12. Let's see, units in the first box may be deployed by spending an action. Reinforcements deploy when built. Okay, yeah, because carriers and battleships take 24 rounds to take and be built. From what I got from my little perusing of the rulebook, this game operates on a action point, resource point type system, kind of similar to, again, unconditional surrender, in the fact that you're going to take and turn resource points into action points, and then you're going to use those action points to activate specific units, just like you use production points to activate your units in unconditional surrender. The thing with this one, though, is I don't have it off the top of my head yet, but some actions are free, like some movements with units. I think you can move infantry and tanks around for free, things like that. Of course, producing units cost resource points, so we'll have to take a look into that deeper and see what affects what. I'm not exactly sure how this breaks into it. I know, production chart, that's building your units and going across until they're actually in one and you can put them out, but how this breaks into the other two maps, because I'm assuming the other two maps are European and Pacific theaters. So let's see what we got here. This is, it looks like the Pacific theater. All right, let's fold it out, take a look here. And I gotta say, this game originally was a print and play game, and they've done done a good job on the quality. All right, it looks like this little, okay, this says it's the economic display on the right. So this is where you're gonna keep track of the resources that each country has, and each one of these colored bands is referencing a specific country. So red obviously is Russia, gray is Germany, and then on down the line, Japan, France, Commonwealth, US, and then the different iconography on it has to do with its starting resource points and things of that nature. There are counters, I know, to put along that track to keep track of where you're at. And let me let you get a little look there. You can see, I see reinforcements and morale. This display also lists the values for morale and national modifiers as a reminder. Yeah, every country has a national modifier, but I don't see where it says national modifier. Where is it? Oh, here we go, like Germany's national modifier is a 2. And see, Russia's is 1. And I think that's how, actually similar to unconditional surrender. I know I'm comparing this a lot to unconditional surrender, and I'm not trying to like say they copied GMT or anything, because I know this game's been out for a while. But I like how it does that, because that's similar to something that I know that works. Anyway, here we go. That's your map. Let me kind of pan across, see if I can get that glare off. Like I said, these are mega hexes here, so your naval units will be there, and then they'll move from like mega hex to mega hex. But then in the actual land, you have just regular hexes that you're using. And this isn't too big. It doesn't look like it's too bulky to actually play on. I like the look of it. I mean, it's simplistic, but there's plenty there to actually play the game. And it doesn't show the US coast, so I'm guessing that's why this has to be, why you need the strategic map, that little smaller one, so you can kind of move units around from maybe that down to this, and then maybe back to the European theater. It does have all the small little islands with the flags next to them, I guess, to show who starts with what. All right, so let's take a look at our European map. Fold this back up real quick. I gotta say though, as far as like component quality goes, the paper maps are decent on the quality. Like a nice poster. It's not a thin, flimsy map that will be easy to tear or have back creases on it. Okay, here's our European theater. Let's take a look at what little charts are on this real quick. Come here. Okay, this is our resource control display. So my guess is this is where we're going to put our counters to determine how many resources we have. I've got a turn display over here, and then a radar display down here. And I know the radars have to do with like the Battle of the Atlantic with U-boats and things of that nature. So let's fold this one out, see how it looks. This is the first time I'm seeing it folded out right along with you guys. Okay, this is nice. I like it. It's, again, simplistic, but it works. It's got each country's little symbol of their map, big area for the Soviet Union. And like I said, this is supposed to be strategic, light, streamlined, broken down in such a way that you can play it and have a good time with it without needing a college degree or a master's. I mean, a lot of people have college degrees. Let's say a PhD in war game theory to play the game. Us mere mortals can do it. I gotta say, I know they've adjusted the map. You know, you can't just put a map on there and have it work for war game. They kind of have to adjust the land masses to make it work. But it appears to be similar, because I was working on unconditional surrender earlier, to where everything else was, as far as like the size of the map, the countries, Yugoslavia, Bulgaria, Turkey here, Romania. Yeah, it's very similar. Small little bit of Hungary, a little bit of Poland, and it's got its little marker there for where Poland was divided between Soviet Union and Germany. Baltic states. Up here it says just the Baltic states, so it seems like they're not breaking it down into Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia. Not going to that much detail on it. I don't know, it looks like it could be fun. I definitely am excited to get this to the table to see how it works. But it will need a little bit of table space, even though it is broken down, you know, to be more streamlined. You still have two of these big maps that you have to worry about, plus a smaller one. All right, so we have some player aids here. This is reinforcement display, and it looks like where you're just going to place your counters for each year and when they're coming off. Okay, so set that, yep, one-sided. And a single player aid chart. Interesting. Well, maybe expected at least a couple of them, but I play all my games by myself, so it really doesn't matter for me. And I guess if you wanted to play the game two-player, it's not like you can't scan this and print it off anyway. Landing, attrition, combat strength. Now, combat strength in this game is just 1 for the unit that's attacking, but it is similar in unconditional surrender that like you get just that unit. All right, so I think the way it works, don't quote me, I know you can't have a whole lot of land units stacked up. For the most part, it's just 1 unit. That it's going to be 1 for that unit, and then maybe bonuses for surrounding units that lend support. Okay, yeah. Each supporting unit, so if there's flanking units supporting that attack, they'll add a bonus to it. So it's kind of like the assault and unconditional surrender. I got to stop comparing this. The GMT is going to get mad at me. But and then you add the fire's national modifier. Your national modifier again was on that other chart, and it's going to vary from country to country, and that's where you're going to get a lot of the differences. And the way this one works is you roll a die, you roll a d6, and then for every, like, for the first 6 points, when you hit 6, you get 1 hit, which will flip a unit or destroy it depending on the situation, but you'll get 1 hit, and then for every 4 points after that, so if you get 6, a modified 6, that's 1 point, you get up to a modified 10, then you get 2 points, so it's every 4 points after. So 6 for the first hit, 10 for the second hit, 14 for the third hit, and so on up. Now, I know there's some type of defensive thing, modifier or whatever it is, die roll, I'm not sure. Like I said, I didn't get all the way through the rules. I just kind of glanced over them to have a better idea of what the game was about, so I can tell you guys. Here we go, sequence of play and player impulses. I'll just hold that there so you guys can kind of see it. I'm not going to read it all off to you. Isolation effects. That's zones of control. Okay, here we go. Free actions, ground, move a unit that is already embarked on an RT. RT is rail transport. And then it has, free movements for naval, sub, miscellaneous actions, and then your paid actions. Ground units embark one ground unit on a rail transport, make an attack, also see ground unit movement. So to make an attack, it's a paid action. So very similar into the production points, you're using a resource point to get action points. Really, it's basically you're paying a resource point to make an attack. So your production, your resources, determines how aggressive you can be. And I think that has to do with defense as well. Like you can spend a resource point to have air units intercept, or naval units intercept, or ground units support each other. So I'm not 100% sure on that. We're going to have to take and go through it. All right, so let's eyeball the counters. I know that's what you guys want to see. So let's pull this first one up. And like I said, it looks like it's counter-liked. Because, yeah, here we go. This is all the French counters. French control, ships, infantry, their land-based aircraft, reinforcements remaining, and I'm not sure exactly how these work. Okay, here we go. North Africa, Dakar, Lebanon. So this is where they are. The Maginot Line, Mayost, China. There's KMT, China units. Not sure what these are. Here we go. British control markers, their resource points. Air units. They have a lot of air units. Sea units, and they don't have a whole lot of ground units. Here we go. Their standard native symbols. Ground units, armored units, airborne units, more naval, and AZ. It's all destroyers, but I'm not sure on why they're different colors. And then more infantry. Italy, same thing. And these look like smaller countries. I'm guessing maybe Finland, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, maybe Netherlands. That could be Netherlands. Netherlands not that big. Why would they have that much infantry? That has to be towards someone else. And then here's the other side of them, so you guys can see that. and that does affect gameplay. Like if they flip to their side, there's a status in the game called flipped, which does affect things. And it does look like they're nice and thick. Let me see if I can get you guys to see that. Yeah, there you go. See, they're actually decently thick, so I'm happily surprised with that. And what do we have here? U.S. units. I wonder what all these NT ones. I'll have to figure that out. I'm sure it's in the rule book. Bunch of U.S. units. A lot of U.S. control. Not a whole lot of U.S. infantry. Oh, and they do have headquarters units in this game that can count as supply as long as they're in supply. More U.S. aircraft, land-based, sea-based, naval, and then, ooh, atomic bomb, nice. Rail transport, sea transport, which is how you're going to strategically move your pieces. MR is marine units, so me. Airborne, Japanese, same thing, they've got a bunch of aircraft carriers, which can launch what they call CAGs, which are your combat air groups, I think. So they do have aircraft, and you can see the 2 aircraft symbol there in the bottom left. That's how strong the CAG is in it. Other countries besides the US and Japan don't have as strong of air wing in their aircraft carriers. Here we go, Russia. As you can see, a bunch of units because Russia always has a bunch of units. And then Germany, a lot of their destroyers. See, they don't have very many naval. They're focused on their destroyers. They have a mess load of infantry, bunch of armor, aircraft. Nice. I mean, it's simplistic in its nature. There's not a whole lot of information on it. You don't have to worry about any numbers on it. The movement points for everything is the same. I know for it depends. Like ground unit's going to move so far. Mobile unit's going to move so far. Air units can do so many what they call hops. Naval units can move so many megahexes, things of that nature. And then we've got our informational markers, which there actually isn't a whole lot. I gotta say, for a game that's wanting to streamline a game of this size, it looks like they've done it, but I have to take and actually get it to the table to see if they've done it well. These markers I know for your naval units to organize what it's in a task force. A task force can be all of one country or cooperating countries. Fuel low is for naval units that are out and active, and like the impulse passes on. They're supposed to like go out, do their stuff, and move back to a port. They're not supposed to just stay out at sea. Strategic bombing, if you've moved a marker, you put moved on it, and then if you've activated a unit, it's acted. So they do have a bunch of markers to mark them down as acted, or basically used for the turn. So that's nice, so I don't have to sit here and use my little beads to remember which ones I've used or not. But that's it. That's what you get in the game. I can't give you guys an opinion one way or the other on if it's good or not. It looks like it definitely has the possibility to be. From what I've seen, I like the simplistic nature of it. As I said, it reminds me a lot of Unconditional Surrender, but based on the entire world map. Some of the things had to be abstracted, of course. A lot of things are shrunken down. The whole world map looks like maybe that's how you're trying to transfer units if you go from European theater to Pacific, or if they're doing anything against the U.S., because the U.S. so rarely was invaded, or it's never been invaded, but in a military game rather. But I will get this down to the table at some point to do a little bit of practice run with it, try out some of the examples and see how it does. And I'll definitely let you guys know about it. I'll try to record what I can of it. I really want to try it because if they've done it to where it's similar to Unconditional Surrender but on the entire world basis, this would be an excellent game. But the combat mechanics are different. It's not just a combat results table. It's simply rolling for numbers, and I'm not sure how the defense works into it, so that's going to have to be figured out. And I have to see how the resource points get used in this game. But anyway, that's it. You guys take care, and I'll see you in the next one.